Morning, sir. Welcome to Smile Jamaica
Morning.
and Happy Heroes Day. What was your fascination with this national hero and stuff?
I'm always fascinated by my story, my history. And Sam Sharp is a major part of our story, my story. And so as a social historian, writer, I decided that this year I would do a series of stories, perhaps some of them not known, of our heroes. And so Sam Sharp's story is just one of 4 stories that I've published.
And who you telling these stories to? Who you want?
I want every Jamaican to know about our story. Some Jamaicans are not interested in our story. And I am going to tell our story because they will have to know our story. It's a part of who we are. So Sam Sharp is significant in our scheme of things. Sam Sharp's rebellion was instrumental in precipitating the emancipation, abolition of slavery. And so who's the best person to talk about on Heroes Day than Sam Sharp, of all our heroes?
So you're stepping out and saying of all of them,
Yes, Sam
he's
Sharp.
the most impactful.
Yes, the Christmas Rebellion, the Sam Sharp Rebellion, the Baptist Rebellion was very, very integral in the emancipation story.
And he had some of the other heroes involved in this as well.
Yes, but Sam Sharp wasn't alone. Sam Sharp was assisted by many, many other persons. But significantly, my story in The Gleaner was about Sam Sharp himself did not start the fire. Sam Sharp wanted to wait until after Christmas, after the 3 days break. Enslaved Africans were entitled to 3 days of holidays. So Sam Sharp said, after our break is up, we will not go back to work. And so the plan was to sit down. So it was the first strike, the first labor strike in Jamaica for grassroots people, right? So Sam Sharp said, we are not going back until we are paid. He was a Baptist deacon who did not believe in slavery. He thought slavery was wrong. It was evil. So the plan was not to go back to work. We have to be paid. But other enslaved people were not going to sit and wait. The plan was to start the fire in the trash houses, and then that would signal everybody else in Western Jamaica.
How did he mobilize them? Because political events were not allowed at the time, right?
Right.
So it was through religious ceremonies.
Sam Sharp was a wise man. Sam Sharp got a lot of latitude to go and preach to enslaved people, to get them to Jesus, to God. I do not know what that was, perhaps. So Sam Sharp was on that bandwagon of taking people to Jesus. And so Sam Sharp used the time that he got to secretly plan,
Cunning.
Yes.
Is it true that he made them kiss the Bible to kind of swear that...
That perhaps was a part
they
of
were
the
gonna keep
story.
it secret?
I wouldn't say that was actually so.
Okay.
But he was cunning, he was wise. So Sam Sharp used the time that he got to bring sinners, so to speak, to God, to tell them, we are not going to put up with it anymore.
Go ahead.
We are going to stand up and break down the system.
As a slave, how would he have been so educated?
Sam Sharp was owned by an attorney, a man of wealth, power, Samuel Sharp. So Sam Sharp was named Samuel Sharp because of the association he had with his owner. So Sam Sharp was exposed to newspapers, to books, to religious doctrines. He was friendly with Baptist ministers. So Sam Sharp was not just an ordinary slave. He was educated, he was well-spoken, he was very eloquent, and it was this eloquence that Sam Sharp used to mobilize everybody that he came across. And he was so instrumental in getting the plan going, but he was like, wait and see, we are not ready yet. I will tell you when. After Burchell and others are back, because Burchell went to England because he was not well. So the enslaved Africans thought that freedom was granted and it was being withheld by the authorities. And it is claimed that Sam Sharp was one of the persons who was going around with that so-called rumor that slavery was granted, but it was being withheld. It became a serious problem. Even the king himself had to send out a proclamation to say that, no, your freedom was not granted. But at the end of the day, it was granted because of the Sam Sharp rebellion.
Yep, back to his intelligence, because that would have been strange.
Very, very intelligent.
Because you would have read that the slave owners would not have wanted the slaves to be reading stuff and to
Slaves, especially the Baptist slaves, were enlightened, and the exposure to the Bible and to other literature would have helped. Yes, in that respect, our ancestors were not allowed to read, to do research.
Right.
And they could not read English language in many respects.
Right.
But Sam Sharp was exposed to a lot of literature, newspaper. He was always aware of what is happening because he had access to all of that because of his religious and other association.
Okay.
Do you think he was prepared to be a martyr for this cause? I think he said he'd rather die this way
Yes,
than live a slave.
that was during the aftermath. But he wanted freedom. So it wasn't in the sense that he wanted to die for slavery. He wanted freedom. So that statement was made after Reverend Henry Bleeby spoke with him in jail while he was being waited to be hanged.
Oh, okay.